Hey, this is great! With this build, slaughtering people in Cyrodiil is so easy, fun, and fast and easy that I'll never have to return to PvE content ever again! Who needs PvE anyways? It's just a bunch of people helping each other. Scrubs. This is where it's at, the real action. All I gotta do is visualize my enemy, buff myself up, and then strike! Who even needs PvP anyways? That's for losers, right guys? Well, many of you have requested a PvE StamBlade build that can pump out massive amounts of damage, yet not have to be totally respect to switch over to PvP. And now I will let you all in on my secret. Introducing the Archer Assassin. Today you will be copying piece by piece what makes up the Poisonous GankPest, but simply switching out a few skills to use for massive PvE situations with a whole new rotation. Kevduit, what can this build be used for specifically to its maximum potential to extravagantly portray it in its purest form? Oh, you silly Eldermary piece of utter trash. Dungeons, Trials, Dragonstar Arena, and all the PvE content besides Maelstrom Arena, of course. Now that's an entirely other build for another time. This build utterly annihilates when it comes down to both AoE and single target situations, hitting AoE DPS heights of upwards to 50,000 and single target DPS of 20,000. Oh gee whiz, good times and fun, it's time to try out the build Kevduit told me not to try out in Maelstrom Arena Maelstrom Arena. Bring it on, Pez! Before we talk about the actual rotation, let's just quickly jump over a bunch of the basic stuff. Armor, weapons, skills, passive, and champion points for those of you that have them. For armor, you're gonna want to go with the 5-piece medium Clever Alchemist for that full weapon and spell damage increase after drinking a potion. Due to Clever Alchemist having those nifty health perks, you're gonna want to focus on putting stamina glyphs on that armor. For the last 2 pieces of armor, and this is for the weapon crit and single target additional poison damage, good old Viper Sting. It sure was a great idea to have the 3 alliances come together for a meal. Yes, indeed. Let's eat. Trevor, I said hoisin sauce, not poison sauce. You know me, Robert. Poison is a fantastic addition to this build as it allows a much more massive single target strike when combined with the Clever Alchemist weapon buff, especially if the potion you drink is the essence of weapon power, which gives major brutality. For jewelry, you're going to want to focus on having 1 piece of Leckies and 2 pieces of Viper Sting, all with the robust trait and weapon damage glyphs on them. Finally, for weapons, dual wielding 1 Leckies weapon damage glyph on that one, and then a Viper's one-hander with a poison damage glyph on that one. For your bow, go with a Leckies bow, preferably precise with a weapons damage enchant on it. This way, you'll get the Leckies damage boost with both your bow bar and your dual wield bar. Most of this stuff is purchasable at your local guild traders, and remember to always check at different stores before buying. That way you can avoid this ugly situation. Finally, I purchased a CP160 Robust Viper's Ring for only 100,000 gold. I'll just quickly equip it here, and I can finally... CP160 Viper's Ring for sale. I said Viper's Ring for sale. 5k gold or best offer. Viper's Ring for sale. As a red guard, I have a lot of boost to my stamina, which is incredibly nice for a stamina-based build. In the end, unbuffed, I have 27,500 stamina, 15,000 health, and 10,000 magicka. So my recovery isn't fantastic, but it's definitely doable. Of course, this is all depending on how souped up your armor is. If you've got things golded off, you're obviously going to have higher stats. But for the most part, on this build, your weapon damage and critical with purple should be around 2,300 for your bow, with a 52.5 crit chance, and 2,400 with your dual wielding, with about a 47.5 crit chance. When you buff yourself up, both your weapon bars will increase in weapon damage by about 1,200 and 10% increase in crit chance. Next up, your skills and passives. We're not going entirely just for single target or just AoE, we're going for both. First off, get all of your Nightblade passives, all of them, as well as your racial passives under dual wield, bow, medium armor, undaunted metal underneath undaunted, and as many Alliance War Assault passives as you can. These are your main focus passives for right now. And now for your active skill bars, starting with your bow bar, and in any order you like, acquire Siphoning Attacks, Razor Caltrops, Arrow Barrage, Shuffle, and Relentless Focus, and have Shooting Star Slot as your ultimate. For your dual wielding bar, put on the skills Resolving Vigor, Whirling Blades, Surprise Attack, Killer's Blade, and Shrouded Daggers, and slot Incapacitating Strike as your ultimate. Make sure to slot the skills exactly how you will easily remember them, or else you'll end up like my good friend Confused Carl over here. Hi, where's my vigor? Where's my relentless focus? These aren't even my right weapon skills! Finally, for those of you that do have champion points, I'm not going to focus on this a ton, because as a stamina DPS Nightblade, you're more than likely going to know where the points should go, but just as a quick little run over, your main focus for points will be into medium armor, warlord, mooncalf, melee and bow expert, mighty, and then a combo between thaumaturge for that poison damage and precise strikes. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the demonstration. Of course, every good build needs a good demonstration and rotation, one that will maximize the damage you deal and keep you from getting slaughtered instantly. Now, remembering your buffs and timing is super important, which is why I recommend grabbing the Srendar Buff Tracker. It's an awesome add-on that will show you exactly how long each buff lasts and when your buffs have run out. On this build, your dual wield bar is your main attack bar, your spammy move bar, but your bow bar is where your buffs are. First off, before you engage in combat, buff yourself up with evasion, relentless focus, and siphoning attacks. These are your main passives to help you avoid some damage, buff up your stamina recovery, and help you gain back resources with light and heavy attacks. Next up, you're gonna wanna throw down your Caltrops and fire off an arrow barrage. Now, if you've got your shooting star up and there's a large group of nerds all huddled up like a bunch of 10-year-olds huddled around a Game Boy Color, pop it off and wreck their faces. Not only will this knock them down, it's gonna help you regain some ultimate and give you enough time to switch to your dual wield bar, in which you'll toss a couple of good old-fashioned shrouded daggers into the crowd, giving you major brutality and dealing massive amounts of AoE damage, depending on how large the nerd herd is. Whirling Blades is my secondary AoE move that I use when enemies are dropping in health. Shrouded Daggers is a great way to start off with some AoE damage, but Whirling Blades deals more damage based on how low an enemy's health is, and will give you minor endurance, which is stamina recovery. Surprise Attack is your single target move, and if there's just one enemy left, or if you're focusing in on a boss, remember to keep Caltrops and Arrow Barrage activated for extra damage, and then spam them with Surprise Attack. And then there's Killer's Blade to finish the job. And remember, if you use it on an enemy that is 25% health or less, it deals way more damage, and it will heal you for 20% of your health if you kill the enemy within 2 seconds of using it. Now, obviously, vigor is your heals, pretty self-explanatory, but you might wonder where Incapacitating Strike comes in. Pretty simple. If you've got a shooting star and you're fighting a boss, use it just for crowd control with ads, but with just a single boss, simply use Incapacitating Strike over and over again on them as soon as you get it. The reason being is that Incapacitating Strike actually helps you deal more damage to that specific target. And remember, you're using Clever Alchemist, so stock up on tons of potions, popping them whenever you need resources in combat to buff up your weapon damage way too much. Fraglin didn't drink potions with his Clever Alchemist, and look where he is now. Silly Fraglin, no potions for you. Anyways, that about sums up this build for you. If you've got any questions or critiques, go ahead and pop them in the comment section below. But until next time, remember, there is one way to make this build have 10,000 weapon damage. There is a way to make this build solo veteran rank trials without dying once, and that way is...
I